Hello, everybody. How are you? Thank you so much for stopping by. Hold on, I'm just going to switch over to my camera. So, how's it going, everybody? Thanks for stopping by. This is the Outstanding Life show. I'm hoping the sound and the audio are coming through okay. I was having some audio issues on the last show, so I'm hoping I got it all figured out. If you can't hear me, just give me a thumbs up or say hello in the comments and let me know. Oh, there. Okay. So, today we're actually chatting about something that's really important to me. We're actually we're talking about gratitude. Now, when it comes to living a life of gratitude, do you live a life of gratitude? Do you have gratitude as a part of your everyday life? Is it something I don't want to say struggle with, but is it a part of something where you make it a priority, where every day you express gratitude? Are you thankful in another way of saying it? So if you are in a sense of gratitude, you don't have to tell me what your gratitude about, but do you showcase that gratitude daily? Do you have it a part of your everyday life? Do you make it a priority? Some people, it's not a priority for anything. But we're going to jump into that here in just a quick minute. But I do want to show you guys this little video I made about gratitude. And I'm just going to hold on. Okay, let's remove this. I'm going to switch back. And here's the video. Okay, so today we're Outstanding Life. We're talking about gratitude. And gratitude is the single greatest power. It has the power to change your life. Spiritual leaders, philosophers, across the world, they credit gratitude to a happier life. Deepak Chopra describes gratitude as an immensely powerful force that we can use we can expand our happiness, create loving relationships, and even improve our health. Have an attitude of gratitude. When you're grateful, fear disappears. Hey, kitty. When you're grateful, you can't be angry. Anger and fear are what screw people up the most in relationships, in life, in business. Most people want to be happy, but their habit is to be worried, upset, frustrated, or stressed. Now that we have a highway to stress and a dirt road to happiness, what if we had a highway to gratitude? It would change all of our emotions. Take 3 minutes to be thankful, 3-minute prayer for your friends and family, 3 minutes just focus on your top goals you want to see accomplished. See them as done, feel them as done. You'll be done in 10 minutes. It's a great way to set the tone for the day. Take control of your day by being grateful. Okay, so that is the video. What did you guys think of that? It was a short little ditty on gratitude. Now I'm going to go get the timer and bring it back up. And then I'll go check out the comments. So how's everybody's day going so far? We still got 6 minutes of the pre-show. We have Tina's here. Tina's got the thumbs up. Thanks, Tina, for stopping by. Oh, we even have Kathleen. Hello, Kathleen. Thank you for saying hello. And we have Norm. Norm is here. That's awesome. Thanks, Norm. Okay, let's go back. Let's bring back the timer. We still got 5 minutes. We were focusing on gratitude. And we're just saying, do you have gratitude as a part of your everyday life? Do you make it a priority to be grateful? I had a little video there just to talk about it briefly. And let's just see. So I'm committed to living a life of gratitude first. And so the question of the day is, do you show your gratitude daily? If you do, leave it in the comments. You don't have to tell me what you're grateful about. I know some people are thankful for some pretty peculiar things. I know I'm thankful for my friends and my family. I actually had a great conversation with my sister, Caressa, and I'm very thankful for having a long chat. I was actually just arriving on my way to the gym, And then I just decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send my sister a message just to say hello. And I sent her a funny little message. It was with my iPhone. And I was trying something out just to see if it worked. And then it worked out. And then I was like, that's awesome. And then right after I sent it, she replied back. Not that I didn't expect it. It was pretty fun to hear back from her. But I was just hopping on the treadmill. I just finished stretching for my workout. And then we just started talking and catching up. So I'm very thankful for being able to catch up with my sister. I'm thankful for being able to reach out to you guys and say hello. But I also wanted to see if you guys can see this. So I'm just going to show you just a map. It's at a high level, so don't get too confused about this. So this one, here we have, I'm just going to remove the lower third. And here we have the benefits of gratitude. Now, there's quite a few things on this list. We're going to jump into it. We're going to go through them all. Don't jump ahead or get too confused or anything. So, before we get into it, I wanted to come back to me. There we go. This is fun. This is the Outstanding Life Show. My name is Jason. Today we're here talking about recovery and overcoming addiction. I was bumping into one of my friends, Chris, recently, and then I didn't expect that he saw the show, but he was telling me, he was watching my shows, and he was like, Jason, I watch your show. It's really awesome. But what is it about? And I was like, oh, it's about recovery and alcohol and addiction and then overcoming those steps. And then I realized I don't have a lower third that talks about it. So I decided to throw it out there to just as a reminder for everybody. So I'm just going to throw it up every couple of minutes or every few minutes. The other thing I wanted to jump and share is for people who want to get a reminder about the show. Type show in the comments. I know a lot of you already have. But if you're new here and you want to get a reminder the next time we go live, feel free to type show and then we'll have a message sent out to you. Okay, so let's jump into this. And let me bring in the lower third. Great. So the benefits of living gratitude first. And this is just going over that list that we saw earlier. So there's emotional gratitude, social, health, personality, and there's also career. Now, before I move too deep into gratitude, I just wanted to share, like in my past, in my recovery, before I started this journey, I had little to almost no gratitude at all. There were times when gratitude could have definitely helped me, and there were times where being faced with what I'd felt was adversity or challenges, and the way I chose to perceive those situations could have changed had I had an ounce of gratitude. So had I adopted gratitude into my life, I could have gone and made a better, I don't want to say a better choice. I could have made a better resilient outcome had I brought forward that gratitude as a part of my, if I wove it into my everyday life. There were times where, I wasn't so close with my sister or my family. And I think it was, I think probably the longest time I went without talking with my sister was probably, I want to say like a year. And it sounds crazy, but, these are things that you take for granted. And it's not until you start to appreciate, holy cow, what would happen if, I remember when my dad, his sister passed away. And I was like, holy crap. Even though my father and I, we both struggled with our own challenges and addiction and recovery. And when I heard that he had lost his sister, it took me back. And I was like, holy cow. If I were to lose my sister, that would be it. Like, it'd be game over. I wouldn't know what to do. And even though I wasn't close to my father, I still reached out to him and I phoned him. He didn't answer, so I left a voicemail. I was like, I wouldn't know what to do if I lost my sister, so I'm just going to share, I've got my thoughts and prayers with you. If you ever want to chat, you want to talk, let me know. And at least I extended that branch of that opportunity just to let him know that he's not alone, because I wouldn't want to feel alone if I was in the same situation. So I'm very thankful for my friends and for my family and for you guys that are here. You guys are watching. I think it's pretty awesome that you carve a little bit out of your week every week. So we're talking about gratitude. We're talking about the benefits, the emotional, social, health, personality, and career. We're going to jump into those, but I wanted to see if anyone else was here. Hold on. Let me go take a look. And the lower thirds are nice. Yes, thank you, Kathleen. I struggled on these things for like ever. I tried to make it super fancy in the beginning, and then I ended up scaling it all back just to make it basic, simple, and easy. And I want to be able to go and just get the show up and running, essentially. I was trying to overcomplicate it. You know, the analysis by paralysis, you look at the whole thing and you get overwhelmed. So by breaking it down, at least it made it a lot easier. Okay, Anne is here. Hello, Anne. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate that. Anne says she just got a gratitude book just last week. That's awesome. A gratitude book. I started well, it's not necessarily a book. Although books are handy. I like having books. I consume as much as I can. But I like having, you know, those notepads on, like you can get, like just on your phone, you just create a little notepad. I'll go and I'll just create a notepad, and it's my gratitude list. Hi, Kitty. What are you doing? What's going on? I'm grateful for my cat, who's hungry right now. Only on live. And then so I use the notepad, and then as things come to me, I'll just throw it down. I'll be like, you know what? I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. And I'll just do like a data dump of things I'm just grateful for. So, Kitty, what are you doing? Jabari's here. Hey, Jabari. Thanks for stopping by. That's awesome. I love your shows, by the way. Your lives are awesome. And Sharon, you're going to make me call my brother. You tried on his birthday in May, but the voicemail isn't the same. I know. I started, and just relating on that, I started trying to do these things on my iPhone where I'll just create like a little 3-second video or 10-second video. And it's just a selfie video, right? Like it's just me talking to the camera. And it's like, hey there, Kathy, I wanted to share with you. I really appreciate spending time on lunch. You were able to help me with that thing that one time. You helped me get ahead. I really appreciate that. And it's just a quick little 30-second thing, 10-second thing. And then it adds a more personal touch where they can see the innuendos in my face when I say that stuff. And then it's more personal. So even though it's still a voicemail kind of thing, at least they can watch it. I don't know. But if there's no way getting around a voicemail, I'll try and throw in like a recorded message of some sort. Kind of like those Bonjoros. You know, the ones that Luria uses? Those things are awesome. Okay, Anne is sharing. The book cover says, pray more, worry less. Yes. That's actually what we're going to jump into here real quick, Anne. That's really exciting. Pray more, worry less. Oh, I took away the lower third. Okay. So jumping into emotional gratitude. So by living in a gratitude first environment, that will help release any of the, how do I call it, like anxiousness or worry. It removes, earlier in that video that we saw, that was actually one Tony Robbins quote. And then with the Tony Robbins quote, like I love Tony Robbins. I've been to his events. I walked across fire. I've been to New York. I was here in Calgary twice. And I just love the guy. I've got all those books, the DVDs. I'm such a dork. I know. But that was a quote from Tony Robbins. And so what Tony will say is like, you know, once you hold gratitude, there's no room for, you know, you can't be fearful. And once you remove that fear, that creates room for everything else. It creates room for, you know, what I have down for emotional gratitude. You're more relaxed. I am more relaxed since I've chosen to live an alcohol-free life, an addiction-free life. an outstanding life. I'm more resilient. My friend Barbara, she has a show just focusing on family resilience, and it's amazing. I'm less envious, way less envious, and I have more room for the good feels. I have more room for quality added value. If I'm not being grateful, I can find myself where things will start to build up. Like things will just start to creep in, and my mind will start like swirling over in a different mindset. And it'll get to a point where pretty soon my thoughts will catch up to myself. And then I'm like, what am I thinking? Like, what is this? Am I feeling... In one of the previous episodes, we talked about being hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. And those are some of the conditions or some of the rituals that I can get into that will help barricade myself so that I don't physically fall into this idea or this mindset of anxiousness, this feeling of lack, or this feeling of insecurity. These are feelings that creep in an alcoholic mind, in an addiction fueled mindset, where if I'm in the heat of my addiction, if I'm in the heat of my alcoholism and I'm struggling, I'm only really going to have like two feelings. Like one feeling is going to be like pure amazing and everything is awesome and everything is fine. And then the other feeling is just going to be horrible, wretched. It's like 0 to 60. There's no in between. It's either really, really good or it's really, really bad. And when you're on the struggle, when I was on the struggle, when things were good, they were always not long enough. And then when things were bad, they were always too long. And so there's a saying we have in AA where they'll say, if things are looking really good, go to a meeting. And if things are looking really bad, you still go to a meeting. The idea is that you just keep going to meetings. You go to that place where you feel safe. You go to that place where you're able to share. You go to that place where you have that sense of camaraderie. And without that sense of grounding foundation, pretty soon you don't have room for anything else. If you don't have gratitude to bring you back, I can spiral out of control. You end up thinking all these horrible thoughts. That train wreck of in one of the previous episodes, we shared about playing the tape to the end. We throw the matchstick in the bin and the bin catches fire, and we throw the bin in the garbage dump and the garbage catch on fire, and then pretty soon the house is on fire in the neighborhood, in the city. Like, if you don't catch the thought at the beginning, it can run out of control. Those things we talked about, hungry, angry, lonely, and tired, those are things that are conditional that we can prevent. But then what we're talking about today is relating to the soft skills, for lack of a better word, or, how can we manage it from within? There's no one solution that's going to solve everything, of course, but here are some key ways that can help. So we're talking about emotional gratitude. By holding gratitude first, we can become more relaxed. We can have room for resiliency. Because as soon as we've adopted sobriety into our life, the struggle is that the only feelings we've ever had is that 0 to 60. We haven't had anything in between. And so the hard part is adjusting to that normalcy, because now all of a sudden we've got two feelings. Now we have like 50,000 feelings. And that emotional roller coaster going up and down can be a lot to manage. So here's where gratitude can come in. So by holding gratitude, we can become relaxed. By being grateful, we have room for resilience. We can be less envious. And then we create more room for good feelings. Otherwise, if all we ever are is a lack of gratitude, we can throw that matchstick into the garbage bin again, and then rinse, wash, repeat until pretty soon things are out of control. Okay, so let's go and take a look here before we move on. Here we have Anik. Anik is here. Hello, Anik. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. And then here we have social gratitude. Okay, so for social gratitude, what is that? So social gratitude can mean a wide variety of things. Overall, it's your interaction with others. So from a social aspect, we can be kinder from one person to another. I remember in my conversation with my sister earlier today, she had shared, we were catching up, and then we had shared some of the challenges we had faced personally and individually. And one of the things I shared was something that I found to be challenging. And then my sister commented, and she goes, Jason, you handled that completely differently than the way you would have before. It's almost like you're an entirely different person. And she actually shared, she goes, I'm proud of you for what you've done. And I was like, wow. I was more moved by hearing that from someone that was super close, like a family member or friend, than it was just someone just telling me, oh, you did a good job, or way to go in handling that thing. And so by being grateful, by holding that gratitude, I'm able to apply that in a social context. So I'm kinder to myself, and then I'm kinder to other people as well. By becoming kinder, that makes you more relatable. It makes it more social. So this allows me to have healthier, deeper relationships. The kind of relationships I had before in the midst of my addiction and before I started recovery, the relationships I have weren't fulfilling. They weren't adding value. And if you were to ask me then, I would tell you that those were my friends. These were people that I had thought strongly about, and that they would be, you could have sworn that they were going to be there with me till the end. Meanwhile, not many of them are here. Not many of them are adding value to my social circle. So what I had thought then was my norm was actually the lowest low that I would have hit. And by adopting gratitude, by holding it, not just because you can't just tell yourself like, oh, I'm just going to be thankful for something. It can't be something as simple as I'm going to be thankful that I'm broke. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And you can't just think positive about being broke. You have to want to let it move you into an action. You have to want to propel you forward into some activity that allows you to then change that situation. You just can't be positive that you're broke. That doesn't change anything. You just can't be grateful about being broke. You have to be thankful that you're here. You have to be thankful that you've got your friends, you've got your family, you've got, you've got that. Even when we come to just relationships, just for a minute, even a horrible event like a bad relationships, even if it's a negative interaction, it can actually become a positive outcome. I'm just reminded of this quote I saw on Pinterest where it shared, even it took me years. The quote says, it took me years to realize that even the darkness that you gave me was a gift. And when I read that, I was kind of taken aback. I was like, wow, that's looking like the next level. That's going above and beyond. That's thinking next stage level of pushing through. So when it comes to having a social gratitude, it's not just being thankful of these happy, healthy people that you have around you. It's these lessons that you've learned. It's the lessons that I've learned through my journey, through my recovery. I'm not saying that there's not, because there's some ounce of responsibility on both sides of a relationship, both your side and then their side. And then even if it's 99% fault of them and 1% of you, you can still own that 1%. You can still be thankful and grateful. You can still keep your side of the street clean, and you can still move forward. If all you're ever doing is being upset and angry and frustrated and resentful, you're not going to have room for even a little ounce of ownership, of accountability. And then how are you expected to move on or move through unless you're willing to be thankful, grateful, appreciative, and have your own gratitude list? Okay, so we talked about being kinder. We talked about being more social, And the benefits of having gratitude socially are healthier, deeper relationships. And so let me just throw this up here. So if you're just joining us, I want to tell you thank you for stopping by and saying hello. This is the Outstanding Life Show. My name is Jason. And we're talking about recovery. We're talking about overcoming addiction. And if you like what we're talking about and you want to know more and you want to get notified of the next time we go live, feel free to type show in the comments. Thanks to my friend Lisa, who was able to help me out. I got this Facebook Messenger, so we'll send you a message about 10 minutes before we go live, and then we'll get you joining in on the conversation for the next time we go live. I mean, you can still leave the likes and the hearts and the smiley faces, but sometimes you don't get the notifications, so just typing show in the comments will let you get that reminder, and then we don't have to worry about missing out on something. But yeah. Okay, so let's move over. I'm just going to switch back. And we talked about social gratitude. Let me go actually and check out. And here we have Anne. Anne is saying, sometimes we can be grateful things aren't worse than they are. Yes, that's true, Anne. Things could be much worse. You know, I was sitting there and I was thinking, someone asked me the other day, and they had asked, what was the turning point? What was it for you that really pushed it over the edge? And I remember I was, you flash back to where you were, and I was, waking up feeling like crap the next day, after a weekend bender, and no healthy relationship, no healthy mindset, no healthy decisions were made, and it wasn't a positive, supportive environment. And I began to realize that nothing is going to change. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And then I had this fearful mindset where I could see the future and it was going to be the exact same as it was. And that shook me, because then I realized, I'm going to be, you double my age, triple my age. I want to be around. And the way I was living wasn't conducive to that idea. I want to have a family. I want to have healthy relationships. I want to one day, have some form of a legacy. I want to be able to share and help other people. And hitting that spot where what I had believed is things couldn't be any worse, then that's that raw moment of appreciation. That's that raw moment where your true friends are there. Your true friends are not the cosmetic people that are Friday friends who call you on payday kind of thing. You find out the kind of support system that was really there the whole time. You just discovered it, as an example. So sometimes things could be worse, and I'm very grateful that they weren't. My mom had told me a lesson where she had shared, we have so many lessons that we have to learn while we're here, and we have to repeat ourselves. We have to go through these experiences to learn these lessons. And my mom says it in an interesting way. She shares that, before we come here to Earth, we will choose the lessons that we need to learn in order to have this outcome. Like, we have these things to accomplish, so therefore we must have these trials or tribulations. And so since we've co-opted those choices to burden ourselves with, we will become a stronger person and be able to achieve these things. And then if you are presented with an experience to learn, and instead of choosing to learn, and instead you choose to do your own thing and you don't learn, you are doomed to repeat that lesson. Only the next time that lesson comes around, the stakes are higher. The costs of learning are even greater. You have more to lose the next time this comes around. And things can get worse if we just choose not to learn or grow or be grateful. Until pretty soon, there was a dire point where I was wondering how the next 24 hours were going to go. But thankful I pushed through. Thankful I have a great support system. Thankful I've got amazing friends and family who, in my time of need were able to help support that. And we touched a little bit about that later on when we talk about, even career gratefulness. It was actually because of my employment that I was able to go to rehab and meet a whole other world of community available to me. And none of that would have been possible had I not hit that point where I was debating, can things get any worse? Can they actually get worse? And if all I ever believed was that things could get worse, then the only way I was going to succeed was by failing, which is insane. And it took me a long, long time to help remap that in my brain, to help change that. But thank you, Anne, for sharing. That's actually amazing. And then I think this is actually lining up with what we're talking about. We're talking about personality gratitude. I was just sharing about hitting that rock bottom, hitting that spot where can there be anything worse? And that was my natural reaction for so long. This belief that things are worse, that I wasn't worth enough, that I couldn't have these things. I couldn't own a place. No one will give someone who's struggling with alcohol and addiction, no one will give me a license. Who would give me a car? The bank won't trust me with buying a house. And you start making up these stories. I started making up these stories about being able to go and do this, that I couldn't do these things. And so I was making up my mind before I even began, and then I used that as an excuse to not do it for so long. I think I've probably spent most of my 30s trying to fix everything I had done in my 20s. And I think about how much time that is, and that's a long time, but at least I've made the choices when I did, and at least I'm here today to help share and grow. But when it comes to personality gratitude, we create more room for, when we have gratitude first, a gratitude first mindset, we have more room for self-esteem. We have more room for spirituality and more optimism. I would like to consider myself a very positive person, and I'm very much, in tune with what I believe in as a higher power. In the Native community, we call it a creator, and our creator, Mother Earth, Father Sky, and we have this belief that there's a spirit that connects everything, that there's a spirit that is in every stone, every stream, and having an appreciation for that, something greater than yourself. For some of my friends who were in the program with me, they didn't have that sense of spirituality, and that's okay. You're allowed to not, you can have your own beliefs, that's fine. We would have a different exercise where we would share, okay, well, if you don't have a higher power, then something greater than yourself would be the group. It would be that camaraderie, that fellowship, we call it. So by coming back to the meeting, by encouraging everyone to go to the meetings all the time, you're more prone to be in that set of environment instead of sitting there making your own choices, making up your own mind with your own logic and your own reasoning, which we've already established may not be the best in that circumstance when you're in the thick of addiction and recovery. So by having a more spiritual grounding foundation, it allows us to be more optimistic. By having that personality gratitude, it allows us to have more self-esteem. I didn't believe I could achieve these things. I didn't think I would be able to have a Facebook live show every weekend. And I was like, what am I going to talk about? I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. And then it dawned on me, like, there are people out there who want to hear what this message is. There's people who message me and share what, I used to post all these Facebook messages, and they were just nice recovery messages about the challenges I was facing, how I overcame them, what are some ideas I hold, and in just sharing those frequently, by just posting those, getting that message out there, people would have conversations and they would share with me these amazing things that they've accomplished. And I'm like, holy cow, I didn't intend for that when I started to type that message. But the fact that this can resonate beyond what I can think of as here and now, I think it's worth sharing. I think this message is worth being out there. It's not necessarily just my message. It's the whole idea that, there is an outstanding life out there. There is life after recovery. My greatest fear for the longest time was, okay, if I do make this choice to become sober, now what? Now what am I going to do? I thought life was going to be over as soon as I became sober. I thought no one was going to be friends with me. I thought I would lose, your friends and family are just going to not know what to do anymore because they've anticipated me being this train wreck of a hot mess. But now at least, I know that after a day of sobriety, 2 days, 3 days, I just hit 5.5 years. In October, I'm going to hit 6. But I'm not looking forward to the 6 years right now. I'm just focusing on the next 24 hours. I'm sober right now. I haven't had a drink today. I went out and worked out at the gym this morning. I went and I did my meal prep. I still have to feed my cat. But you know what? I think I've done a pretty good job today. And I wanted to make it a priority to share this message. So thank you for coming by and saying hello. We're almost finished. We're actually going to switch over to the other camera. And I wanted to go... Hold on, let's turn that off. And we talked about personality, gratitude. We have health gratitude. This, for me, was a big one. The improved sleep. Holy cow. At one point, I was consuming more alcohol in a month than I was food, and I was having a hard time sleeping. My health was deteriorating. I was getting like these huge pores all over my face. My body wasn't getting enough oxygen. I was sick all the time. I didn't work out. I didn't exercise. But as soon as I made the choice to change my lifestyle, all of a sudden I had all this energy. I had all these other emotions to experience, and I had all these other outlets now that I could express them in. I work out at the gym. I go and I make sure I've got my meal prep. I haven't been sick in the 5 years that I've been sober, which is crazy. I never thought about that. Who would have thought that by not, I almost said poisoning my body, by not inducing my body to these chemicals, these addictive negative aspects, by not entertaining them, I've created more space for all this love, for all this amazingness, for all this positive energy. And it has this long-lasting impacting effect on me. Like, I feel like I'm going to be around for quite some time. I feel like I'm healthier. I feel resilient. And I think when we're in the moment of struggling and debating whether or not we should or shouldn't make the choice of sobriety, we're not having that idea of gratitude first. And that's okay. It can just be a challenge to somebody who hasn't hit that spot yet. Because you can't just tell somebody, no one could have told me to just be grateful. So in the heat of my recovery, or in the heat of my addiction, in the heat of my alcoholism, if someone were to tell me, you should just be grateful, I wouldn't have listened to anything. I wouldn't have been open to those ideas. I wouldn't have let that into my heart of heart. I wouldn't have let that into my heart of hearts. I wouldn't have allowed that to take up space. Instead, it would have been probably would have been the opposite. It would have been more upset, angry, frustrated. The person who is on that struggle would have to welcome that of their own volition. They would have to want to make the choice of their own. And it's never easy when you see someone who is on that struggle. And then it kind of gets down to this part, when if someone is struggling with their sleep, they're prone to illness, they have no energy, and they don't exercise. But if they want those things, and then that's where, if they were to reach out for help, if they were to go and say, what's a way I can help get better sleep or wake up earlier? Well, if I quit consuming alcohol and drugs, I could probably have a lot more energy. I'd probably be up earlier, and I probably wouldn't stay out as late. I'd probably have a lot more money too. and I wouldn't be sick as much. So here is where those kinds of conversations can flow, whereas proactively offering it or trying to cram it down someone's throat is probably not the best idea. But when someone's open to those kinds of conversations, here is where this list that we've gone through can actually prove as a beneficial idea, as a suggestion. Okay, and then this trickles into the other aspect of career gratitude. So for career gratitude, we can have increased productivity, you can have goal achievement, you're going to start making positive networking. So networking, whereas before I had started my path to recovery, I wasn't networking at all. Like, I wasn't trying to make friends. I wasn't about to put any effort into that. I was probably working hard enough to not get fired. I wasn't motivated to want to achieve or push myself or to want to expand beyond my comfort zone. Whereas today, now I pride myself in pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. You know, what is it that I need to do to help grow, to be of service to others? What is it that I can do to own my little circle here so that I can expand outside of it? And then once I expand more, I can allow more in. But I can't expand more unless I've locked this circle down first. Unless I've, worked up my productivity in this aspect. Unless I've achieved these goals, I'm not going to be able to move forward on this sense. If I just stay stagnant, I'm not going to probably do that much. I'm probably not going to have that sense of reward or feeling or contribution. For me, contribution is huge. It gives me that sense of accomplishment, contributing back to others, giving not so much certainty, but more of a, once I know I've helped, I know I feel better. And I think this ties into, the next one. We have the safety moment, where we're just chatting really quick about it's okay to not know all the answers. In every episode, we have a safety moment. In every episode, we talk about we talked about relationships in one previous one. We talked about hitting rock bottom in another. We talked about triggers in another episode. I can't believe we've gone through quite a few episodes already. We talked about stressors, things that can push us over the edge. And then today we're talking about gratitude. Starting with gratitude first. And by having a gratitude first mentality, it can, when you have the idea of gratitude first, it doesn't take over everything all at once. It slowly has an impact on all these other areas. And, I'll show you. And it slowly has an impact on all these areas. But it's not one thing that's going to knock it over. It's the consistency of having it. It's the regular attributes that you're showing up every day. And if you have this gratitude book, if you have a gratitude notepad or whatever it is you need, that will trickle down into your other everyday aspects until pretty soon, when you have this wobble board, and then it is a wobble board. Here, let me show you this. So it's a wobble board. It's a wobble board, and it's a balancing act. And so if it's all heavy in one area, it's just going to fall in that area. Or if it's all heavy in a different area, you're going to fall over the other side. And what no one wants us to fall off the bandwagon. No one wants to relapse or to hit that low. But what happens is when we have gratitude woven into the everyday tapestry of life, once we have that idea of, okay, I'm going to have a mindset of gratitude, that can help ground us, and it can help anchor that wobble board down so that even if something were to be disrupted, and if something were to upset the apple cart, you've got this almost like a mesh network where everything else is able to absorb that, where you've got this positive idea where, okay, it snows tomorrow, so I can't go to the gym, but I still have some fitness things I can do around the house. Or, if this impacts you negatively, if something shows up, you're able to have the resilience to bounce back from it because you've got that positive outlook. Not everything is going to be negative, but not everything is always positive. And if we have enough negative things that impact in succession, those, without the proper resilience, without the proper, that physical, hungry, angry, lonely, tired, without the resilience of identifying what our stressors are and what triggers us to the next level and then hitting rock bottom, without the soft skills and the hard skills, one negative event could be the one thing that breaks the camel's back, that sends us off. So there's no one solution for anything. But what we could do is equip ourselves. What we could do is, by being grateful, by holding gratitude, it allows us to then entertain those other things, to let it move in. And once we let that move in, we don't have much room for anything else. And it's over time of letting that happen, pretty soon we start having these positive impacts. We're waking up early. We have more time to work out. I have, more emotional availability to have friends, to have a relationship, to have an outstanding career, to have an outstanding life as a whole. There's lots of cool things we can get into, but I want to say thank you, everybody who's watching this. We talked a lot about recovery, overcoming addiction. We talked about being grateful, having that positivity, the mindfulness, by having an emotional gratitude. We talked about social gratitude, career, health. All of that adds up to happiness. And we believe that everyone wants happiness, but the natural trigger response is to be upset, anger, frustrated, resentful. But if we can remap that, if we can take control of that, we can hold that with gratitude, and it can bring us back to what we want. It can bring us back to happiness. It doesn't happen overnight, but I don't think it's, I don't think gratitude is something that one day we're going to do. I think of gratitude as something that every day we are doing. Okay. Thanks everybody for watching. Okay. Take care. Have a good night. Happy Canada Day and happy long weekend for everyone in the US. 4th of July. Take care. Bye.